رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وبه نستعين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خيرة خلق الله أجمعين وهو رحمته للعالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المقتولين المهديين ولعنة الله دائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله تعالى في كتابه المجيد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم طابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون تحمله الملائكة إن في ذلك لآيات لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. I begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. It's wonderful being back after so long. After the absence, I was at the Indian Ocean in Mombasa and Dar es Salaam for some time. Alhamdulillah, it's a wonderful community, but good to be home. So inshallah, after Arba'een, our regular programs, and we'll be back in the regular swing of things, inshallah. So I missed all of you, missed my home here in Hamilton. May Allah bless all of you, inshallah. The ayah that I mentioned from Surah Al-Baqarah 248 pertains to the discussion of tonight's lecture, which is on what is sakina, what is peace. That everybody wants it. Everybody is seeking it. I don't think anybody here doesn't want peace. Everybody wants to have a peaceful life, a tranquil life, a settled life. But what is sakina? Right? What is this concept of sakina? Which is obviously an Arabic word that I think all of us know, and I believe it's used in Persian, Urdu, and other languages as well. So, in order to understand anything, when we want to explore certain Islamic terminologies or Arabic terminologies, we have to begin by looking at how this word is used in the Quran. Right? If we want to understand something, this is very important. Now often people say, oh, well, that's academic, this and that. But the problem is, if our understanding of things are not rooted in how they're used in the Quran, and then after the Quran, of course, the traditions of the Ahlul Bayt, then perhaps our understanding of religion and the concepts surrounding religion sometimes can be misleading, or misunderstood, or flat out incorrect. So we have to always begin with the Quran. How is a word used in the Quran? Peace, this word sakina. So there's one ayah, a very beautiful ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about the signs given to the kingdom of Talut. And it's said that a box shall come to you, an ark shall come to you, a tabut. Tabut, this is a tabut, right? We say, literally in Arabic, tabut means a box, okay? It could be filled with anything. When the mother of Musa alayhi salam put him in the river, what did she put him in? A tabut. So a tabut will come to them, will come to you. Fihi sakina. And in that tabut is sakina. That's quite interesting here. How can you have sakina in a tabut? We have to explore this now and understand how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using the word sakina here in the Quran. Some riwayat tell us that this was the box that the mother of Nabi Musa alayhi salam put him in. Right? When he was born, he was put into a box which was put into the river. The story is in Surah Taha, of course, as we know. And the miracle of how he was picked up, of course, by the wife of the Pharaoh and then taken care of and so on and so forth under the Pharaoh. But the point is here, the box has sakina. If you think about it, the sakina in the box, fihi sakina. So when people accuse others of saying that, oh, you are glorifying a specific object of Allah, let's say the dhari of Imam Husayn alayhi salam, okay, is there no sakina in there because of the grave of Imam Husayn? If this tabut, which apparently contained the relics of Musa and Harun and so on and so forth, and it was passed on from generation to generation, there was nothing holy about the box. It's just a box, after all. But it's what was contained in it, or who was contained in it before, which gave it sakina, which gave it that sense of that the people who interacted with it, touched it, were around it, were given this sense of spiritual peace. So how could someone then say that even the grave of the Prophet, which contains his corpse and his memory in this sense, like our memory of him, would not have sakina? How is that shirk then? Because Bani Israel is not accused of shirk here. That this box has sakina in it. That there is this simple common sense understanding that nobody's worshipping the box. The box is not becoming an idol, a statue that people are worshipping. There's an understanding of what the box represents. That the box represents something that conveys sakina and peace to Bani Israel. And this is an ayah of Quran. We don't need to go to hadith here. This is an ayah of Quran. So when people say, oh, why do Shia go and touch the dhari of Imam al-Husayn and this and that, it's a shirk and they're glorifying a grave and so on and so forth. Well, then why did Bani Israel glorify a box? And here it is praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't even need to turn to a hadith here to justify this. I mean, naturally this box, this tabut or tabernacle, it has many different words, applies to the sha'air of Allah. It is a sign of God. ذَلِكَ وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. That it is from among the signs of God. And those who exalt the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do so from the bottom of their heart. They know they're exalting Allah. And now, of course, this box is a sign of God. It's a sign of God's grace, of God's power, of God's guidance to the community, of the memory of God's prophets. And people are revering this box. This box is holy. It's muqaddas. Fihi sakina. Allah says that there's sakina in it. That's not shirk. That's not considered to be polytheism and warranting of kufr and qatl and all of this, nonsense that other people are coming up with. So how is the dhari of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, or the grave of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, or the grave of the Prophet, or the grave of Imam al-Baqir, or the grave of Imam Zain al-Abidin not convey sakina to us? Does it not have a certain significance to the Muslim community? Does it not have a certain significance of the person who is contained in it, the memory of that person, the signs of God that were with that person, the words of that person? Does that not convey sakina? Tranquility and peace? Certainly it does. Right? And this verse about exalting the signs of Allah, the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can apply to many things. When we exalt a great scholar, his life. For example, when you go to visit the library of Mar'ashi Najafi, his amama, his turban is still sitting there, Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi, on top of his grave. Are people worshipping his turban? Because that's a sign of a pious scholar. And when people see that, they're reminded of his dedication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of his life of faith, of his life of piety. Nobody's worshipping his turban. Nobody's worshipping that. People have common sense understanding of the difference between the two. Maybe for the people who have maybe this sense of hamaka, of real hamaka and foolishness and and a complete lack of any sensibility and understanding. Maybe for them there's a problem, but I think for the majority of people who have any semblance of intelligence, understand the difference between a box and what it represents and the worshipping of that box. This is a simple argument from the Quran. So are we venerating, for example, this Imam Barga? We call it basically the court of the Imam, right? So are we venerating its walls and this and that and saying, are we touching its walls? No, in this sense. But what it represents is something very sacred to us. This Imam Barga is sacred because the name of Allah is taken in this place. The remembrance of the A'imah Tahirin takes place in this place. So it becomes sacred. So it can also bring sakina to our life. Many things, that which reminds us of God and God's servants and God's Anbiya and Mursaleen, brings a sense of tranquility and peace and harmony to our life. And I don't think there's any shirk in that. I don't think there's any polytheism in that, or kufr, or whatever it is that people want to accuse us of. It's simply common sense. It's a common sense understanding. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And thus the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is what guides us to God. That without these signs of God, we would not be guided to Him. So how can we not venerate that which guides us? We would be foolish to. Allah is saying that the Bani Israel are venerating a box in which the possessions of Musa and Harun were contained. At this ta'abut. Nobody's accusing them of haram or shirk, or that they violated the first commandment, which is not to associate partners with God. This is an ayah of Quran as a blessing upon the kingdom of Talut that they had this box. That it was among the treasures that they inherited. The crucial point is that sakina is something that we all seek, and it is something that we all need to attain one way or another. Because without sakina, we have anxiety. We either have anxiety or we have sakina in our life. Now we know what gives us sakina. We know what gives us sakina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that. And thus I would go a step further and I would say, the majlis of Imam and Husayn alayhi salam gives us sakina. The very azadari of Imam and Husayn. If this box, now let's go back to this box of Musa and Harun. If this simple box gave Bani Israel this sense of tranquility and spirituality and upliftment, it made them feel that God was with them, literally. What is a box which contains the relics of Nabi Musa and Nabi Harun? Their relics. How do you compare that to the place in which Imam Husayn's name is remembered? This is a place of sakina. This is a place in which we come to have sakina with the remembrance of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a place of spiritual treatment, of spiritual development, of enlightenment. But in order for us to appreciate the sakina, or tranquility and peace that can come through the veneration of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's remembrance, we have to know, what do I need in order to benefit from that sakina? For that, let's go to Al-Fath 18. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that God was pleased with the believers. إِذَا يُبَايَعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ, when they pledged allegiance to you under the tree. فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ. So there was a point where the Muslims were going towards Hudaybiyah. This is a very important verse of Quran, brothers, from Surah Al-Fat. The Muslims were with the Prophet, going for Umrah. They're going towards Hudaybiyah. They don't know what's ahead of them. There could be armies, they are not armed, they're in a very difficult situation. The Muslims are going. And then all of a sudden the Prophet stops them. Allahu Akbar. This is really interesting. And he asks them to give him bay'ah again. Why? This is very interesting connection to Imam and Husayn alayhi salam. He stops them under a tree. They have already given their allegiance to the Prophet. This is an ayah of Quran which is very important to understand what is going on here. He stops them under a tree, and they now pledge allegiance a second time to him. Under the tree, تحت الشجرة, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ, and Allah says, and He knows what is in their hearts. فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَثَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا. What a beautiful ayat of Quran. Then Allah says, and then the fa, which is what is giving the reason. And then, because they gave him allegiance, and because we knew their hearts were pure, then we descended the sakina upon their hearts. We gave them sakina. Sakina is not something that we can gain simply through acquisition. It is something that Allah Azza wa Jal reveals upon her. Anzala alayhim sakina. That He literally descends, He brings down the sakina upon their hearts. Why? Because they held the hand of the Prophet, despite the fact that they didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what they would face. They were trusting Him with their lives and with their souls. And Allah says, I will recognize that iman today by giving you sakina for athabahum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wa athabahum fathan qariba, and we confirmed for them a very close victory. That they were certain that maybe victory wouldn't be today, but because they surrendered their life and their heart and their souls and their wealth to the Prophet under that tree. Allahu Akbar. فَأَنزَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ سَكِينَةً. فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And then Allah revealed, Allah gave them that sense of sakina. Sakina is not something, some very simple issue here. This is profound. As-sakina as-sabr li-quwwat al-basira, as Shaykh Tusi says, because they had the strength of vision at that moment. They had a vision. They knew what was in front of them. They understood that if they do not take the hand of the Prophet, they will not go anywhere without him. That they need this guide to guide them through their life, and without this they are lost. They understood this. They had, as Shaykh Tusi says, it is a kind of patience which allowed them to have vision. The vision to move forward. Despite the fact that this person may say no, this person may say no, this person may complain, this person may complain. لا تأخذوا في الله لومة اللائم. As the Imam says, that when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's cause, you don't care about the single complaint. لومة اللائم. This was their iman in the Prophet. Allahu Akbar. This is very profound. And then they فَأَنزَلَ sakina alayhim, and then the sakina was given to them. This is not something that can be gained by mood, by lithium, by some kind of psychiatry. This is more profound. This is a gift from God upon their hearts. And it was something that they had to earn, not gain. Not simply through ittisab, that you do 1, 2, 3 and you'll get it. No, it is given by Allah as a gift. Literally, فَأَنزَلَ, it's very beautiful that it descended upon them. That in the midst of this great trial, they gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet again. يُبَايَعُونَكَ. This is why, these great individuals are mountains, they're jabal, they're mountains of marifat and spirituality. And we see the same example in the ashab of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. That they stood with him in the most difficult times, in the most difficult situation, knowing that they have one common vision ahead of them, which is they are being led to the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-qurba lillahi, and the hand of their Imam is taking them there. That is the vision. And when a community and a family is joined in this vision, under this raya, under this flag, then they begin to become like a community of those specific people who honored the Prophet and the A'immah alayhim as-salam. Otherwise, we will not be deserving of the sakina, of the tranquility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this is a spiritual path. Sakina is a spiritual path. It's not easy to attain. It's tough. It's hard work. What it requires mostly sometimes is this sense of unease, the sense of risk, the sense of faith. Faith in my Imam, faith in his guidance, faith that he is there with us. I'll go further than faith, conviction rather. Yaqeen and conviction. And when that conviction is there, the sakina will arrive. But without conviction, there will be no sakina. That we could go to as many psychiatrists as we want, go hiking as much as we want, work out as much as we want, claim to live a healthy lifestyle as much as we want. And if we're taking, mood stabilizers or whatever, we can take that as much as we want, but none of that will give us sakina. Without being guided by the hand of our Imam salamullahi alayhi. And that means simply submitting to him all of our affairs in the same way those specific companions who are praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala submitted to the Prophet and to the A'immah. That is the kind of submission that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking for if we want sakina. But that is not necessarily a sakina that will make us warm. See, we often confuse this with, I'm going to feel warm inside, I'm going to feel good about myself, I'm going to feel self-confident, all of this. No. This sakina is something different. It's not something that you feel within yourself, that you necessarily feel like, it's not like I feel relaxed. Sakina doesn't mean relaxed. It's the sense of profound certainty in God's divine plan in our life. It's very profound. And everybody's trying to give us this sense of, whether it's through yoga or drug companies or whatever. But the problem is that, as I said, none of this will give us sakina. As Sayyid Tabatabai says in Al-Mizan, Halul Insan al-Hakim, that sakina is the position of a wise man or a wise woman. And wisdom can only come about through learning from the Prophet. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمْ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And he taught them the book and wisdom. It can only come about through submitting to the Prophet and the Imams, salamullahi alayhim. Through doing the things that they have asked us to do. That obedience often sounds like a uncomfortable word to say. Obey God, obey the Prophet. But that all of that, in molding our souls according to their will, the purpose of that is for that sakina to arrive. That in order to qualify for that sakina, we have to put ourselves through certain tests. And that is to live a life of wisdom, in which we understand that we have been given this life as a gift from our Creator. That Creator has sent to us certain messengers and Imams to guide us and bring us to the shores of salvation, to bring us to the shores of peace, to give us that permanent peace, that permanent tranquility. But it will not be, like a certain moment in our life. It's not going to be as if, we're constantly looking for this in our life. The problem is that sakina is also the sum total of our life. Let me explain this. Often people say, Maulana, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with myself. I'm unhappy. I feel that I'm not in the right place in my life. And that's fine, and we want to grow. But sakina and true happiness is not something that can be located in one part of our life and another part of our life and another part of our life. It is truly the sum total of our life that when it all comes to an end and it's put together, either we have sakina at our deathbed or we do not. That sakina, as we depart from this world, will be determined by the sum of our life, by all of our actions. It's not like we can look for it at a certain moment. Yes, there is a sense of conviction to be with God, but it's not like I can say, I have sakina right now. I know God has given me. Oh, I feel so warm. I feel so great right now. God must have given me sakina. No. The only way to know sakina is when we close our eyes from this world and we see the malaika. That whether we have sakina or not will be determined by the sum total of our life. It's not like I can sit right now, do I have sakina or not? No. That tranquility is a permanent tranquility. It's not something that would just come and go, come and go. When Allah reveals sakina upon us, that is a permanent sakina, a permanent state of sakina. Right? Because often people say, well, Maulana, I've done all the wudu, I've done the prayers, I'm not feeling it different. How, if I have $1 for every time someone told me that, Allahu Akbar, if they paid me $1 each time, I'd be a rich man by now. Maulana, I performed ziyarat, I don't feel any different. I just don't feel it. I said, religion's not based on a feeling. If you know what you've done is right, and you've performed it in the right way, and you inshallah had the right intentions, then Allah has accepted it. We can't be searching for some kind of feeling. This is often told to me by brothers. But Maulana, I don't feel like I'm in the right space. Maybe that's shaitan. Maybe that's shaitan coming to you, putting doubts in your mind, telling you, maybe your ziyarah it's not maqboola. Maybe your salah, it's not maqboola. How do we know that's not shaitan? Right? I always hear the sisters and brothers always come to Maulana, I do it all, but I don't feel that sense. What do you want Allah to reveal? Wahi or something? See a burning bush of Musa? Baba, the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are in their own tabaqah. We're not all the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Awliya are awliya. We are who we are. Okay? Yes, certain people have certain experiences which are so incredible, which are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are kind of divine inspiration. No doubt. These things exist. But we can't expect God to show us something like that in order for us to say that I feel better about myself. God is saying, do what you need to do and have trust upon me. Now those doubts and shubahat may be coming from somewhere else. They may be coming from somewhere else. Because the true sakina that will be given to us, inshallah, will be that sakina at the end of our life. That when we look at death in its face, then we will truly know who we are. That's the only way to know. I know brothers, it may not satisfy them. But Maulana, I need something now. I need to know now whether I have it or not. I said, barring the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the Prophet to you in a dream to tell you that you have sakina and you're in a maqam or something, may Allah bless you with that. There's not much I can do, or that I can say, or that I can respond to. There's no magic pill. It's just hard work. Just like the companions of the Prophet, just like the companions of Imam Husayn, the companions of Imam Hasan, it's just hard work. It's hard work and commitment. That's all it is. Right? But the problem is we want to be rewarded for our hard work right away. We're hasty sometimes, right? We want to taste the sweetness of the dessert immediately. Allah will determine when we'll taste the sweetness of our dessert. We have to wait for Him. We have to wait. And a time will come where we will taste the sweetness, the dhawq of our a'mal. Either in this life or before we pass away, but we will taste it. No, so we're certain. Allah has promised that. That the moment when we see those malaika, Allahu Akbar, then we know. Inshallah. Or if some of us are blessed before then, may Allah give you more tawfiq to be blessed with certain signs before that moment of maut. That's possible as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One of our teachers in the city of Tehran, my teacher's teacher rather, not mine. He's too old to be my teacher exactly. My teacher's teacher. You want to know an example of how you can get a sign? 3 days before he died, Malak al-Maut came to him. That you'll die on this date. This will be your situation. And that's it. And he asked why. Because he performed a certain a'mal of Quran every Friday for his whole entire life. So then the misdaq of that, or the result of that, the application of that, was that Malik al-Maut came to him before his death. Because they understand that there's haqa'iq in these things. There's realities in the Quran. There's realities in certain a'mal. But that's his maqam. It's not necessarily our maqam. We can't expect that. Yes, there are people like this. We don't deny this. People who get the sakina, who know for certain. Yaqinan, فَأَنزَلَ sakina alayhim, that they got the sakina, They know where they're heading. Right? And that's also, of course, from the inayat and the help of the Imam of the time. But those are select people. For the rest of us, just got to work hard. Keep working. We have to keep working and never give up. And when shaitan comes to us and start putting doubts and, you're this, just be careful. Just keep doing tawbah, keep working, keep praying, keep being steadfast, reading Quran, trying to raise our righteous family with hijab and the proper values. Continue on the path. Don't ever lose hope. Don't ever tell yourself, I don't feel it, see its results. Satan wants to take away hope from us. لا تيأسوا من روح الله, right? That don't despair of God's relief and spirit. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There's a beautiful tradition of Imam Hasan alayhi salam which really brings this all together. Where the Imam says, Ayyuhan nas, innahu man nasaha lillahi wa akhadha qawlahu dalila hudiya lillati hiya aqwam. That, O people, whoever commits themselves to God and takes the book of Allah as a guide for their life, this person is guided to a path that is the strongest. The path in which they cannot be perturbed. They will not be taken off from this path. Where Allah confirms them upon this path. This again comes down to vision. That the Quran and the ayat of Quran become the testament to their own existence. Their manual for existence, the manual for their life, the Imam is saying. Yes, then sakina can be there, certainly. Tranquility and peace will come. No doubt. Then he says, وَوَفَقَهُ Allah lil-rashad. And then God blesses him to be on the path of right guidance. وَسَدَّدُهُ لِلْحُسْنَى فَإِنَّ جَارَ اللَّهِ آمِنٌ مَحْفُوظٌ وَعَدُوَّهُ خَائِفٌ مَخْذُولٌ. And then when this person takes the book of Allah as the guide for their life, devotes themselves to Allah, then they are guided to the path of right guidance. Then God gives him the tawfiq. God blesses him, gives him the opportunities to be on the right path. And he gives them blessings. Saddaduhu lil husna. So beautiful that he rewards them with beauty. And then they become the neighbor of God. No, not literally the neighbor of God, meaning they are then protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when someone is protected by Allah, no one can ever, ever, ever break that protection. Then they're in a different rank. Then they have sakina. But again, no matter how much we take up hobbies and this and that, I'm sorry, my dear brothers and sisters, that's not going to bring sakina. It's not. It's not going to. Not the real kind of sakina. That sakina only comes through devotion. Man nasaha lillah. Devoting oneself to God, to the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so often we want our children to be happy, don't we? Think about this. How do we raise our kids? We want them to be happy. Don't we tell them that? That son, daughter, I want you. Your happiness is the most important thing to me. But the problem is sometimes we may do things for them and ourselves which don't bring us true happiness. Because we've been told what true happiness is, what true tranquility is. And that's a life that is devoted to the service of God. Man nasaha lillahi wa akhadha qawlahu dalila hudiya lillati hiya aqwam. And then they are guided to a path that is so firm. Aqwam, strongest, most powerful. Aqwam, not qayyam. Aqwam. Af'ala tafdil, it's a superlative use. Meaning you can't have something stronger than that. It's the strongest. Nothing can penetrate it then. Nothing perturbs them. Yeah, then the sakina comes. Then we have that. فَأَنزَلَ سَكِينَ عَلَيْهِمْ. But that requires us to submit in such a way that we feel uncomfortable. That this faith has to make us feel uncomfortable. If we're comfortable, then we've not devoted ourselves to God. There has to be that sense of, I'm unsure of what lies ahead. That when we make certain decisions, not unsure in the sense of taking unnecessary risks, but in devoting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it can't be easy. We can't be cruising by. There has to be this sense of sacrifice. There has to feel this sense of, I don't want to say pain, not pain, but there has to be this sense of exertion of effort. When the exertion of effort is not there, then we probably have not devoted ourselves to God. And without that, then we cannot have the sakina. Again, it comes back to one thing: hard work. It's really hard work. But it's a labor of love. It's a labor of love. Because along the way, God will give us small signs along the way. Maybe not the big, huge ones, like the guy who got, like the alim who got to see Malakul Maut before he died, Okay, yeah, that's a big one. But God will give us indicators along the way. I promise, certainly. We will begin to see God's plan unfolding before our eyes. And when we have to have then the attention to be able to pick up on those signs. And those things could be every single day. Every single day. And when we say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We're told in the traditions, tonight I want to remember, of course, Imam al-Hasan and Sayyidah Sakina, since it's the eve of the Wafat of Sayyidah Sakina, salamullahi alayha, that one of the things about Imam al-Hasan, or about his life rather, which again comes down to Sakina, is that the people that abandoned him, you know, they even pulled the musalla from under his feet, according to some traditions, because they wanted the taste of their dessert now. They didn't trust in their Imam. They began questioning his judgment. They began saying, yeah, no, I don't think he's doing a wise decision. And they abandoned him. And we know for certain those who committed to Imam and Husayn, who wrote letters to him in Kufa, were not committed. Most of them, a good number of them, were not Shia of Imam al-Hasan. This is a reality, right? We know Imam al-Husayn received thousands of letters and so on and so forth. This Imam is Madlum, brothers. Because probably his number of his followers could be counted very easily. Why? Because he made one decision, which was a peace treaty with Muawiyah. Now this is again very interesting, coming back to the Prophet, that when the Prophet was going towards Hudaybiyah, look at this is a very important point from the Quran, right? They trusted that today they may not get what they want. Right? They may not get what they want today. But because they stood again with him, they pledged allegiance to him, God gave them sakina and He confirmed their hearts onto the right path. But those people that abandoned Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam did not have that vision of foresight. They wanted to reap their rewards today. The Imam understood that without this peace treaty, there would be no Shia left to reap the rewards. This is a very difficult pill to swallow. Very difficult pill. It's very hard, brothers. The madlumiyat of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, Allah. As I said, the majority of the people that wrote letters to Imam al-Husayn, a good number of them, were not Shia of Imam al-Hasan. They write in there that we're Shia of Husayn, what? Amir al-Mu'mineen. They don't write Shia Husayn, Shi'atu Akhi, that we were Shia of your brother. This Imam was very, very deserted. And obviously, you know, at the end of the day, he was poisoned, as we know. And then even when they wanted to bury him, a wife of the Prophet coming out and protesting from him being buried beside the Prophet's grave, firing arrows at his corpse, meaning the people around her. This is the madlumiyat of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. And history has constantly tried to insult this Imam. For example, we read in the traditions of Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah, of the books of Ahlul Sunnah, such as Qut al-Qulub of Abu Talib al-Makki and others, that to such an extent then they call him the divorcer. So not only that, after his death, they said that he was, na'udhu billah, a womanizer. This is what they'd say about him. That he was, now of course, not on any basis. This is of course invented by Mansur al-Abbasi, the Abbasid Khalifa, out of his hatred for the Ahlul Bayt. But this is the madlumiyat of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Now no one has ever said that about Imam al-Husayn. No one has ever said that about Amir al-Mu'mineen. No one has ever said that about Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. But Imam al-Hasan is truly madlum. If you go and you read the way some of the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala write about him, putting themselves forward as mu'mineen, so-called Abu Talib al-Makki, the so-called Sufi spiritual master, he's writing there about, and the women, and na'udhu billah, this is of course not accepted, but this is the madlumiyat of the Imam, it's a wafat of the Imam. So of course not true, we know he's master, of course. Na'udhu billah, they would write that he was na'udhu billah, a menace to women. This is how they would try to write about him. And of course we know there is no basis, no hadith, there's no sanad, there's no basis at all to these things. So Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi has written a very powerful and beautiful article refuting very clearly all of these things in a very important article. But this is a madhlumiyat of Imam Hasan alayhi salam, even after his death, that he's looked upon with very little respect. And yet he's the one who told Imam al-Husayn that there is no day like your day. And that's the day in which his son said that death is sweeter to me than honey. That how can this man that they claim, na'udhu billah, is like this, raise a son like Qasim, who would go out into the battlefields with broken slipper, who could not even sit on a horse, and say that my uncle will not die before me. That this Imam al-Hasan? No, not their version of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. We just look at the life of Qasim alayhi salam to see who his father was, the way he was raised. And likewise with Sayyida Sakina alayhi salam. We have a beautiful poem of Imam Husayn where he says, لَعُمْرَكْ إِنَّنِي لَا حُبُّ that he says, لَعُمْرَكْ إِنَّنِي لَا أُحِبُّ دَارًا تَكُونُ بِهَا سَكِينَةً that he says rather that verily I love the house تَكُونُ بِهَا سَكِينَةً وَرُبَابٍ, that I love the place where Sakina and Rubab are present, the Imam says, salamullahi alayhi. But yet we know that on that day, so much happened. That his love for his children would be pushed to the very limit. That the traditions state that as he laid there on the ground, about to die, he began staring at the tents of his women folk. Tarfan khafiyya, as Ziyarat al-Nahiyya says, staring at their tents, because the riwayat state that they began storming the tents while Imam al-Husayn was alive. And there was one exchange that took place between Sayyida Sakina and Imam al-Husayn, which I want to mention tonight. That she called out to her father, وَنَادَتْهُ سَكِينَ يَا أَبَا إِسْتَسْلَمْتُ لِلْمَوْتِ, that, oh my father, have you surrendered to death? This is the final moments of Imam al-Husayn's life before he goes out to battle and never returns. The Imam says, كَيْفَ لَا يَسْتَسْلِمْ مَنْ لَا نَاصِرٌ لَهُ وَلَا مُعِينٌ. How can the one who has no helper or assistant not submit himself to death? At that point, Sayyida Sakina lifted up her veil and she looked into her father's eyes, and all her father could do was Bakka al-Husayn bukaan shadidan. All Husayn could do was cry. Sayyid Abdullah Shubur narrates this as those others. That he could look at his daughters in the eyes and begin to cry. Because this was the end of Husayn's life. And this is the same person that after the death of her father, after the brutal murder of her father, as the women are screaming, they're running to the body of Imam Husayn alayhi salam, the tents are on fire. As Imam Zain al-Abidin says, when I close my eyes, I can remember seeing the women running from tent to tent to tent. Everything is on fire. Qaf'ami relates to us that when the women were brought out onto the battlefield, brothers, sisters, brothers strewn across the battlefield, heads everywhere. And Sakina says, Ramitu bi nafsi ala jasadi abi, that I threw myself onto the body of my father, as Qaf'ami relates. But there's one thing, brothers. The head was missing from this body. So she threw herself onto the body of her father. But that body no longer had a head. And she says, وَيَخْرُجُ مِن مَنْحَرِهِ الْمُقَدَّسِ فَاذْكُرُونِي. And then a voice came from his neck. Because if it was just his neck, his head was gone. a voice came. This is Qaf'ami relates. فَاذْكُرُونِي, remember me. That when you hear of a gharib or a martyr or a shaheed, فَانْدِبُونِي, and mourn for me. That this young girl endured so much, my dear brothers and sisters, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously gave her the sakina to go through those nights of darkness. That I'll end by narrating a dream that Ibn Tawus says, that Sakina says, Ra'aytu imra'at raqiba, that I saw a woman riding a donkey, that I'm in the prison and I saw a woman. This is her dream, Sakina narrating a dream according to Ibn Tawus, that I saw a woman on a donkey coming towards me. Her hand was on her head. And I asked, who is this woman? هذه فاطمة بنت محمد أبيك. This is Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, the mother of your father. She says, I ran towards her. وَوَقَفْتُ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا, and I stood in front of her. And I said, أبكي وأقول يا أما. Oh, my mother, Ya Amma, jahadu wallahi haqqana. That, oh, my mother, wallah, they have taken our right. Ya Amma, badadu wallahi shimlana. That, oh, mother, they desecrated, they destroyed our family. Imagine the sense of her dream, what she is narrating. She says, Ya Amma, istabahu wallahi harimuna. That, oh, my mother, that they allowed for our hurmat to be taken away, for our sanctity to be taken away. Ya Amma qatalu wallahi al-Husayn abana. That, oh, my mother, by Allah, they killed our father Husayn. Then Sayyidah Zahra turns to Sakina. Of course, this is just a dream that Sakina is relating, that I saw my grandmother in a dream. فَقَالَتْ لِي كَفَّ بِصَوْتِكَ يَا Sakina. That, oh, Sakina, keep your voice down. قَدْ قُطِعَتْ نِيَاتِ قَلْبِي. For the strings of my heart are broken from your words. And then she says, هَذَا قَمِيسُ أَبِيكَ. This is the shirt of your father, and I shall not part with this shirt until I arrive at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the day of judgment. For the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I shall not part with the shirt of your father until that day when Sayyidah Zahra salamullahi alayha will ask Allah for the final justice to be given. وَقْضِي بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ, as Sayyidah Zahra will say, now judge between us and them on that day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, put us on the side of Ahlul Bayt on that day, inshallah. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيُّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. ما تمام.